What's up, y'all? Welcome to episode 2 of the Hustle and Harmony podcast. I'm Emily Cole, and I'm here with Julia.
What's up?
And we are actually in person in Nashville because I surprised her here a few days ago. So it's a little surprise for both of us. And now we get to do our first in-person podcast, which is so exciting.
It's so much fun. I feel like this is even better than FaceTime.
It is. It's real FaceTime.
So Emily showed up at one of my shows. I was literally like 5 minutes out from having to run up on stage. And our friend Marcus, he starts going, Julia, and he's in a different room. And I turn my head around the corner and I see this long blonde hair, tall girl running towards me. And I just started screaming. I was like, what are you doing here?
It was funny. I got dropped off on this random corner and then I could just hear her doing her sound check. And so I just literally followed the sound to go find her. It was good.
Yeah, I'm so pumped that she's here. So our goal for this podcast, I feel like we really need to take it back and talk about how we started and our family and upbringing, because we're both obviously super close, as well as with our older sister Kristen and our parents. And I don't know why, but growing up, I thought that was normal. I thought everyone's families were like glue like that. But I realized that I think the way that our parents raised us to be the Cole team and like family before everything, just it defined a lot of things about our life. And I think of mom and dad as my biggest role models. They've worked so hard to get where they are in life. They both, paid their own way through school, getting scholarships. They're both athletes. Did kind of whatever they had to make it to the next step of where their goals were. And it's so inspirational. Like I think about, mom didn't necessarily want to be a nurse, but that was the scholarship she got. That was her door into college. And she was like, fine, I'll do it. Mm-hmm. And now she's like, the knowledge she has on the human body is unbelievable.
Well, then she became a teacher literally just so that we could go to a specific high school. And because we weren't zoned to the one that she wanted us to go to. And so she taught for, I don't know, a decade. Yeah, literally just so we could go to that school. And then now she's back to being an RN. We were just talking literally yesterday about how she's actually perfect and could do no wrong. I was like, here's a good example, Julia. I was like, you see this blue wall right here? If mom pointed at this wall and said it's purple, I'd be like, heck yeah, it is, mom.
It's my favorite shade of purple.
I wish I could see the world through your eyes.
Yeah, no.
Anyways.
It's so true. But even dad too, it's crazy. He played baseball. That's how he got his scholarship, became an engineer. And then when he talked about engineering out of college, I don't know exactly what was going on in the era, but it was a pretty tough industry to be in. And it was at a low. And so he just pivots. He's like, all right, I'm going to do Cajun restaurants. And he does those for 10, 15 years. And then the economy does another crazy backflip. And he's like, all right, pivot back into the engineering, oil and gas industry. And we've talked about it a million times, but no matter what was going on in our parents' world, they still did everything to make sure we were able to stay in sports, to still, have what the school supplies we needed. It was just crazy looking back on it now as an adult and just being like, they are so selfless.
It's and never letting what they were going through affect how they treated us or us and our upbringing, which was so kind. And it's just now looking back, I'm like, dang, they set the bar really high.
So high. But dad's an entrepreneur. So I feel like that gave us this entrepreneurial spirit that we have. Yeah. He was always like if you work hard, run it like a business, you'll be able to do it. Even when I was starting this crazy music journey, he was just just treat it like a business. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
And that's so different than so many people I know in Nashville who are it's just a passion project or it's supposed to just be fun. And it is supposed to move you. And there's all of that element too. It's funny. I actually feel like I had to take a few steps back and learn the creative side of it more because I was so focused on the business side of it starting out. When, I first started doing music and dad was so gung-ho, treat it like a business. I didn't focus on the songwriting nearly as much as I focused on the marketing or the finding a band and the team members and promotion. And that's backwards. The songs are more important. Then you promote. But I just, our parents aren't necessarily creatives in that sense. So he was just teaching us what he knew was important.
What do you think like incentivized you and inspired you to realize that and like kind of make the switch to leaning back more into like the art of it?
I think I started getting into some pretty good songwriting circles. And I remember playing some songwriter festivals where at the end of the festival, some of the writers who most of them have number ones, and I'm just like the new kid on the block, we'd go up to some patio or some, like I'm thinking of the Key West Songwriters Festival, for example. We'd end up on some patio upstairs and there's no fans there. It's just songwriters. And they would just start passing the guitar around, doing like a little guitar pull and playing just their favorite songs that they had written. Not necessarily the number ones, not the ones that they thought the crowd would clap to, just like, this is a song I'm really proud of. And I just never felt like any of the songs I had could hold a candle to the ones played in those songwriter circles. Wow. And I was like, wait, I have a lot of work to do on the creative side and the writing side. And so I did take a big step back from touring to focus on writing.
When?
I'm trying to remember. I think it was kind of forced
because of
when COVID happened. Yeah. I just stopped touring, and then I had a song go very viral on social media, super organically. I woke up, it had millions of views, tens of thousands of videos already made with people lip syncing all the lyrics to the song.
Dang.
And
that was Side Piece, right?
Yeah, and the song had been out for 8 months, so it wasn't like a new song. It was just like a video did well.
Was it one of like your videos that started it, or like someone made a video that went viral first?
So my video went viral singing it, but I think it's because some girls just started a trend with it, and it was like a lip sync the words while you get dressed and get ready. And I had no idea why or how this happened, but I think the first girl who did that video, her video got like 500,000 views or something. Wow. Yeah. And then there were like 30 or 40,000 videos of people doing that.
That's so crazy.
It was bizarre. Like I still actually have never had a song do something as crazy as that very first one. But it made me realize how it's not about the song I push. It's not about the promotion tactics. It's like if you put out a lyric that people connect to and are passionate about, they will find a reason to connect with it themselves. I was like, okay, I'm just going to focus on writing, and every song is not only a lottery ticket, you don't know what it's going to do, but on top of that, even if it only impacts like one person, but they needed that message, that song did its job.
Yeah. So like your music and your lyrics have grown so much since then, and you've been through so much because you said that you haven't really had a song like do that since that one. How do you feel like you're comparing your songs now to that? What are you trying to pull from it, and what are you trying to have be different because you're a different version of yourself now?
That song was so perfect for TikTok because it's like, I mean, the title is literally Side Piece. It's like the T, you know? So it was a grabby title. The lyrics are very sassy. So I get why it worked on there. And for probably a year, everybody in the music industry was trying to write for TikTok. It was like, well, what's the next thing you can do that's going to be a good trend or going to grab people? And, you know, people can sniff that from a mile away. So it was like, I went through enough things relationship-wise and in my life that I was like, I don't really care if this does a trend or is going to connect on TikTok because there are so many other places for it to reach people.
Yeah.
And there's always, it's weird. Like I'll have a song go really viral on that platform, but do nothing on Instagram, or I'll have a song go get 1 million views on YouTube, but not do anything on TikTok. And
social media algorithms are crazy.
And it's the same with Spotify, Apple, Amazon. Like one song will blow up on Amazon. It'll have 6 million views on it, and it'll have like, 500,000 on Apple Music. There's no correlation between them all because I don't have some machine pushing one song. I'm just putting things out into the world and letting them do whatever they do, which is I guess a hippie way of releasing the music. But I don't know. I guess I'd rather let people decide what they like rather than try to force them to like one song because I'm pushing it.
Yeah, I feel like you do a good job like pushing all your songs though, and also like all of your songs. I don't know, I feel like it's like trying to pick a favorite child too. Like all of your songs are like, you know, I'm biased obviously being your sister, but they're all amazing. And so I think like giving them all like equal opportunity to blow up too is just like nice. And I think it's beautiful hearing you describe it in that way. But
it is like that. You said it's not like you can't pick a favorite child.
Yeah.
I do feel guilty if I don't give a song the equal opportunity that I gave another song. I'm like, wait, this one only got 3 videos. That one got 5. I need to do another one.
Yeah, and we talk about a lot how like, so we're sitting at the pool this morning and I literally was like editing video and I honestly love it. I found that it's pretty cathartic for me, but posting on social media can like cause anxiety and just like make me like be a little bit less in the moment. And so during track season, I tend to steer away from it and like just try to be like more in the moment. But I've realized like I really do enjoy sharing on social media and like bringing positivity to that world, and also editing too. I wish that like obviously I wish editing didn't take so long and was so like meticulous, but like once you do finish a video, it's so rewarding. And like that, it's like when you finish writing a song. Like I don't have songwriting or something like that. Like
that's true.
Like obviously I wrote my book, but like social media, it's such a cool like culmination of, you know, music, video, and if you put like words on the screen, like creativity, it just, for me, it's kind of my creative outlet. And so it's hard when I'm trying to like lock in during the track season and then I don't have my creative outlet and I'm more stressed because of the season. It's like trying to find a balance between that. But anyways, we've talked a lot about how like that is my creative outlet. Whereas like for you, you literally have to create so much content. Like for every single song, you've got the lyrics, you've got the music video, you've got the lyric video, you've got the vertical videos that go with the songs on platform,
Spotify Canvas.
Yeah, and then you're like, people are like, oh, you should be doing social media too. And like the amount of time that just social media alone, like creating talking videos takes, how have you balanced that? Because it's just so much.
I like songs because, at least for myself, I can distance myself from it a little bit afterwards, and the song can take on a life of its own. And I think I've told you this a million times, but like I wish I had started my career in music with like the marshmallow head, where it wasn't associated with me and my name and who I am. Yeah, or like Sia. I don't necessarily like the ego around the whole industry. I just love making music, and I would just go and be a songwriter, but no females in country music are cutting outside songs. And I can write guy songs, but the odds they're going to hear a female vocal singing on the demo and cut it, it's just slim to none. So I'm just like, again, running like a business the way Dad, you know, would say to do it. I know if I cut my song, I give it a chance to exist in the world, and it can reach who it needs to reach. Yeah. So like I kind of have to put the songs out myself, but I don't think I would if there was another. I love to sing, but I don't love like the ego associated with all of it. So I think it's kind of different for me, the social media side of all of it, and even the creating the assets for everything. I've realized that people want to associate you with the song, so it needs to be a video of me singing it or whatever. But I don't think I find as much like peace from it as you're like, when I finish editing something and I release it, I'm so happy. Yeah. I get the peace back when I get messages from people saying like, this song saved me after my, you know, past breakup or after I lost my grandpa or whatever it is. Yeah. But I've seen both sides of it from you, because like, how long did you go last year without, because you stopped posting for a long time. Like there was like a big gap.
Now? Like well, I've like not been like consistently posting for like months.
But there was like a consistent, I'm not talking about the last few months. I mean, last year, there was like a period of time where I feel like you weren't on at all social media. Yeah. And how long was that? And like, why did you start the cleanse? And then when did you decide, all right, I'm ready to kind of get back into it?
It wasn't really like I'm going to completely decide to not post on it, like a intentional choice by me.
The hair crisis.
Yeah, I know. I know exactly what you're talking about. So basically I had this like hair crisis go viral last year, and I was vlogging like basically 24/7 during this week where I had a giant knot in my hair that, for those who, aren't on TikTok or didn't see the video, which like I literally get stopped all the time now in like the airport, people being like,
how's your hair?
Gosh, yeah, how's your hair doing? Like, it's like, it looks so pretty now. Like, I'm so glad you got the knot out. And we're like a year removed from it. Like, thanks.
She's not giving this knot enough credit. Like, she had a mat. You had to have like a big chunk cut out.
Let me describe what happened. So basically, like, I had just started my outdoor season, and I honestly had like the first race in my life where I was like, okay, like I'm just going to go in. It's my first race of the season. Like, I'll just, get a time to start off. And I just ran like way faster than I expected. And that doesn't usually happen. Like, I'm not someone who running just kind of like comes easy to. Like, I've worked really hard, and I think I sometimes like think too much about like what I'm doing and like taking every little thing too seriously when really I just need to like relax and run. Anyways, that was one of like the first races where I was like, whoa, like what just happened afterwards, which was so cool.
Damn, I'm fast.
And then the next week the next day I went and did my long run with my team, and it just started pouring down rain, and I had my hair in just a ponytail that was braided. And I never do that whenever it's raining because I know the braid will just like shrink up and turn into like, basically it looks like a fishtail, but it's just a giant knot. And so I always wrap.
Which I still don't understand, because I feel like a braid would be the smart way to do it. So like, I don't know. I would have never expected in a million years.
I'm running for 14 miles. So it's like 2 hours of your hair just bounce, and like little hairs get pulled and it just shrinks it up. So anyways, I usually like braid my ponytail into a bun whenever I'm running in the rain, and I didn't that day. But on top of that, my pony, like the little rubber band at the bottom of my braid, also fell out in the rain. So it was just, my ponytail was just wildin', like just out. And then it was bouncing for the entire 2 hours of the 14 miles. And we got back, and it was obviously a giant knot, because I never run with my hair just in a ponytail, even if it's not raining. I have like finer hair than you do. Like, our hair looks similar, but I think yours is like a little thicker than mine. So mine tangles so easy. And anyways, I was like, I don't really want to spend an hour brushing my hair right now. So I went home and like showered and everything. And I was like, I am hungry and tired. I'm going to eat some food and lay on my couch. And I like did that for a couple of hours. I was like, okay, like I'm going to try and brush my hair now. And then once I like started to try to brush my hair, I realized I was like, oh, like this is not good. Like, this is actually bad. And what I haven't told people that like actually I think made it potentially get worse, like I had like left some conditioner in it to like help with brushing it out. And then the next morning I went and did cryo. And so cryo was like
oh my gosh, sorry. Emily. You've never told me this.
Yeah, I've never told anyone this.
This is why it was so bad.
Okay. Anyways, I'm just going to continue now. So I did cryo, which is like, God. I think like -200. I'm being really dramatic here. It's like -100 degrees in this
They put
chamber.
you in a freezer. They freeze you.
Yeah, for like 3 minutes. Oh my God. And I was like, oh, I'm just going to do my cryo. And then I had like just clipped my hair up. Like I literally had like my hair in a bun, and the knot was just like clipped in there on top. And anyways, I did this.
So you froze the knot in.
I froze the knot in, yeah.
Okay.
And then I proceeded to go to a salon and be like,
this feels like confession. Like, I feel like you're finally telling us what really happened.
To, like, move on.
Yeah, you're trying to get past it, but like you did this. But it's okay, because it made for honestly a pretty pivotal moment in your social media life.
Yeah.
Was it worth it?
No.
Your hair still looks good though. You didn't lose that much hair.
Thanks.
You really didn't. Like, you couldn't tell now, but like at the time it was scary, because I know how much, like, I feel like I
was telling Julie the other day, our hairs are like our biggest accessory.
Yeah, it's weird how much, I'm not gonna say it like defines us, but it's like none of us have. Our mom had a hairstylist for mom, so Maudie, our grandma, did hair growing up. My mom was her like guinea pig, so Maudie cut mom's hair all the time into all these different hairstyles, just testing it out. So mom always had short hair. So growing up, all three of us girls, mom would be like, you can grow your hair as long as you want. I'll never make you cut your hair. You do whatever you want. So this was just a thing. Our entire like middle school on, just, I mean, trims once a year basically, or maybe twice from our mom, but like never going to a hairstylist, never doing anything to it.
That's why it still is like crazy when people pay like $40 to get their hair cut. Like,
Mom, we just go home.
Mom just like trims our hair,
can you
like
cut
straight
our hair?
line, like wow, okay,
literally just
cool,
straight across the bottom of the back.
That was really uneventful.
Yeah. But yeah, so when you had this hair crisis, it was like scary for all of us. Like, not Emily's hair.
Yeah. So I guess to kind of like give more context to that whole situation, then I tried to like keep brushing it for that whole day, and my roommate Georgia was like a big piece of like the content too, like trying to help me. And we just realized like that was Sunday, because we do our long runs on Saturdays. That Sunday we just realized like I am gonna have to go see a professional. Like, this is not gonna be able to get out by myself. So
she packed her bags and moved in.
Well, actually, the next day I like went to a salon, and I went there for like a couple of hours, and this was really hard because like obviously like I had class, like we were in the middle of the semester, and I had practice. So like I'd go to practice, and I literally was emailing my professors like, I am so sorry, but I will not be in class today. Like, I have a giant knot in my hair. And I have to go to the salon and get it out. And I literally had one of my professors email me back, and he was like, wow. He was like, I've heard a lot of excuses for missing class, and like this one definitely tops it all. He was like, coming from your bald professor, like, I really wish you the best.
That's like, so funny. Are you serious?
Thank you. Yeah, no, he literally said that.
I love him.
It was pretty iconic. So I go see this lady, and this poor lady, like, I'm like also vlogging this whole thing happening. And so she's like trying to help me out. And I mean, after 2 hours, she's like, I'm so sorry, I have another client. Like, I just popped in. Like, hairstylists have people booked out like a month in advance, you know? Yeah. And I literally just knocked on her door, and I was like, because everyone else was closed on Monday. Wow. I don't know why, but most places are closed on Mondays in Durham.
Weird.
So anyways, I go see her, and I'm like, can you please fit me in? Like, I really need to get this out.
She saw the knot and probably was like, oh.
She's like, I gotta help this girl. She literally like ordered food and was doing my hair during her lunch break. Like, she was amazing. But she did, after like 2 hours, be like, I'm sorry, but I can't get this out. And like, I have another client. And I was like, it's okay. Like, thank you. She gave me like 3 products to take home and like try and get it out. So anyways, the next day I went to like the salon that I usually go to, which is Large Oliver Salon.
And let me pause you. Like, the spirit like has this gradual decline. At the beginning, you were like, this is funny. Like, I had a video go viral. It's going to be fine. Like, someone's going to know what to do. Yeah. And every day of this week, like, because we were FaceTiming every day of it, and your face would be smiling in the first day. It was like half smile the second day, like kind of annoyed. And then like the fear started to set in. So what day are we on here? Is the fear there yet?
Well, I mean, I hadn't even gone to the salon that we were actually working on my hair yet. So no, like my hair got knotted on Saturday, and this is Tuesday now, but like I'm going to my hair salon, and that's actually how I met Savannah, who is now like literally one of my best friends. And
trauma bonding.
she had just recently become a hairstylist there, so she had some extra time, and she was like, yeah, I'd love to like help you try and get this out. And so I'm vlogging it, and I proceeded to spend like the next 3 to 4 days like in that salon, like 4 or 5 hours a day with her each day.
It's insane.
And vlogged the whole thing. I actually still have a bunch of footage that I like haven't shared, because I was also videoing on my iPad of like their reactions and everything. But as you were mentioning, kind of like towards the end of the week, it was really hard. And I also, what I was kind of getting at earlier is because I was like vlogging so much of it and like missing class and doing like, it was actually the hardest workouts of my entire life, because I had just run fast. Like, oh, that means I can do these harder workouts now. Yeah. And I was like getting like 4 hours of sleep a night that week, because I was just so like wired and anxious and stressed. And so like by the end of the week, like my quad really started hurting. And that's whenever you actually came the next week, and I ran the Duke invite the next week. And that was after having taken a few days off because of my quad. And that was kind of when my like social media hiatus started, because I vlogged so much that week and was just like every free second of my time, I was like, I'm going to edit like as fast as I can to try and get these videos out. And every single video I was posting was getting like millions of views.
Yeah, it was crazy.
And I was like, incentivized to keep sharing. And then I had like hundreds of comments being like, what's happening? What are the updates? Like, you're leaving us hanging. And then I also had like hundreds of people texting me like out of the woodworks, like friends I had never spoken, like friends I hadn't spoken to in years, being like, how are you doing? Yeah. And so it's just like literally everything.
I did too. I had people texting me like, how's Emily's hair?
Yeah. And my teammates were saying, everyone was like asking them. So I like every aspect of my life was like peak stress. And I like actually couldn't like sleep that week. And then I wasn't surprised whenever my quad started hurting.
And for Emily, sleep is the pinnacle of happiness. Like if Emily doesn't get sleep, you do not want to be in the same state as her. Like the same nation as her. Cross a pond. Like
I'm not mean when I don't get sleep.
You just don't enjoy the world unless you've slept. Yeah. Like you want to sleep. And so I can just imagine.
Sleep makes me really happy.
It makes her so happy. Yeah. And it's a beautiful thing. But I watched you also that week. That's part of the decline. It was.
Well, it was just like really worried about running and like getting injured.
Yeah, like it wasn't. And then I got injured. It was a combo of all the things stressing you out. Like obviously the hair, probably the bills racking up, having to sit in the salon for so long.
Yeah.
Missing class. You're still going to have to take all these tests, do the quizzes, like all that stuff going on. Plus the 4 to 5 hours that you're spending in the salon, like that was your sleep time because you're still having to make up all the other stuff. The only thing you could probably cut out of your schedule was sleep.
No, because I was missing class and everything. Like I was in bed on time. I was just laying there, wide awake.
Oh, that's the worst.
Yeah, it was pretty awful.
Oh my gosh. There's nothing worse than like having had the time to sleep perfectly and like waking up or not having to wake up because you just never fell asleep and knowing that you're going to be miserable the whole next day, even though you did everything you could to prepare. Yeah. So how long did that last? It was just 10 days?
It was literally a week later. So on the next Saturday, like Savannah had gotten most of it out after I think it was like, I don't know, 20 hours or something in the salon. Like it was something crazy. And there was still like a little bitty like knot left. And my roommate George is the one who like actually ended up finishing getting the last knot out. And I made that like 1 hour clip, like 20 videos on my TikTok. And it was just so funny because I had like my family on FaceTime too.
Yeah.
While we were getting it out. But yeah, so that next week was when we had Duke invite and I had like taken a few days off because of my quad and y'all all came in town. And I remember sitting with y'all in that Airbnb like crying because I was like, I think I have a stress fracture in my quad.
Yeah.
And I was just like, literally what is happening? Like, how did everything just become so much in like 2 weeks? And I was like, there's no way that like, because I had just had like my breakout season in outdoor the year before. And so I had a lot of pressure and like expectations on myself for that season. And so like after that happened, I was like, okay, I'm definitely not going to continue on in the same way. Like that's not sustainable for me, like putting all of that on myself at the same time. And so I was like, I really just want to like focus on this season and my running. And like clearly that kind of took away from it that week. And so I just like had my little hiatus for like a few months.
Well, it's also, I mean, I'm pretty positive it's the same way for you too, but sometimes for me, social media becomes this thing that millions of people see. Everyone around you is proud of you for it or whatever. And so it becomes what everyone's watching and expecting from you. And for me, it's like my team members, they're, okay, well, what have you done for socials? What have you done? Blah, blah, blah. So it starts getting like higher and higher on your priority list because you're getting the most reinforcement for doing it. Like the most people are like, okay, this was good.
Yeah.
And so you keep moving it up the list and then you realize what your real passion is and what you've really put all of your years and time into gets moved slowly down the list.
So true.
And so for you, it was running and like knowing that you got the stress fracture or
I didn't actually have a stress fracture, but
like that you started feeling the pain and then in your head, I'm just assuming you're like, I have worked for years to be able to run my fastest times, my fastest steeple, whichever event you're doing next.
Yeah.
And I just spent the last 10 days focused on social media and didn't focus on my sleep, my eating, any of those things.
Well, I was still like focused on running because I was like doing the hard workouts and in bed on time. It was just like I couldn't sleep. Like I wasn't like mad at myself for not doing what I was supposed to for running wise, like deprioritizing.
That's not what I mean. I'm saying social media
was taking away
from something you had worked so long for. It's a totally different thing. It's like you can tell yourself, yeah, I'm doing both equally. But at some point you have to like look at the numbers of things, and it's like, well, if one's just doing significantly better than the other, social media, I mean, and running's going down, it's like, okay, you made the shift. You're like, I'm cutting social media out and I'm doing what I actually came to do. And that was really hard. That was hard. I mean, you were on a roll. So like, what do you feel like happened after that? Do you feel like your agent or anybody was like, why aren't you posting? Did you get any backlash for it? Or were you like, everyone supported you?
That's a great question. No one gave me any backlash. Like, I'm pretty, like, I don't have anyone that's telling me when or what I should post, unless it's like actually a sponsored post. But like, that was all just me in my life, which no one really ever gives me any input on. It's just kind of like, I just do it, which is like, there are positives and negatives too, because then whenever I do want to go on a hiatus, I can just like be gone for 4 months and I'm like, okay, I probably should have posted something in there. But it was just hard. Like I kind of just felt anxious a lot for like the next few months after that. And I remember like finishing the season and like that summer just being hard. It's just like, it's kind of a weird, like it kind of just messes with your brain a little bit, like going through something like that.
Yeah.
It's such a like dopamine high, like having all of that happen all at once. And then like having it go away, and like it was intentionally go away. But like even like this year, it's been like interesting dealing with it, because I feel what you're saying, like the people around you feeling like, oh, this is her thing. Like this is what she does now. And then it's like this inception of like, I'm already thinking about social media, but now I'm thinking about them thinking about me thinking about social media. And I don't want to make anyone around me feel uncomfortable, like they don't want to be on social media, or like they don't want me to post them on my stuff.
Yeah.
Or like
which is just thoughtful and true. You should definitely be like courteous of whoever's around you who wishes they had put the marshmallow mask on and not been in the video.
Yeah. Like I even saw someone like on social media the other day getting roasted about recording people in public when she was like recording getting some food or something. Yeah. And like that's so fair. Like that's so true, because if you're recording someone, like they're supposed to like sign a contract, like saying that they're when
I had a couple of shows in Dubai in November. Yeah. There's a law there. You cannot have other people in your video. I worked with a couple other influencers when I was there. They were invited to the baseball league is called Baseball United. It's the first ever baseball league in the Middle East. So I literally sang at the first baseball game ever in the Middle East. That is pretty crazy. Sick. Also, if you would have ever told me I was going to sing the American national anthem in Dubai, I would have been like, that's hilarious. But I also got to do my song Supernova in the 7th inning stretch. They brought a bunch of influencers from Dubai out to the game to spread the word about this new league. Cricket's huge over there. They brought a bunch of cricket players, and like they're the Tom Bradys of cricket were there. Anyway. So I started to do some videos with some of the influencers there, and we're walking on one of the beaches, and he was like, we're going to have to redo this one. And I was like, it was perfect. What do you mean? He was like, there's a person out in the wave, like out there in the water. And I was like,
a little dot in the back.
Yeah. Like there was like a person out in the water.
That's
and he was like,
crazy.
it will immediately get banned. Like the video will immediately get pulled. Your TikTok account or something, whichever one will get banned. It's like serious over there. So America's pretty nonchalant about. It is a law though. Like you're supposed to have consent forms signed. That's why every time you show up at, something that's televised, you sign some sort of waiver, or it's included when you buy the ticket. That's in the small print, is like, you agree to be on TV. Yeah. On ESPN or whatever in the crowd.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, social media, none of us are getting waivers from whoever passes you when you order the hot dog at Daddy's Dog. Yeah. It's crazy.
And there are just so many like little things like that and little nuances of social media that start to add up. And then you get to a point where it's like, it is a full-time job, and like it is a whole like all-consuming thing for you to think about in your brain. And then you're like, wait, like I don't want my brain to be consumed by coming up with creative like TikTok ideas. I want it to be consumed with songwriting and like making the music that I love and that makes me feel like it's reaching people and helping change their lives.
And then you start to ask yourself, did I really enjoy what I was just doing, or was I just stressed about capturing it?
Right, yeah.
Like, did I really just enjoy reading my book by the pool?
Yeah.
Or was it all about setting the phone up and making sure that there was a cute video that let everyone know that I was reading a book by the pool.
Yeah.
Like, so, and you and I have actually figured out a lot of ways to eliminate that. And
oh my gosh, we need to talk about Opal.
Oh my God, my favorite thing that's ever created.
Free advertising for this app that has literally no idea who we are, but we are actually in love with it.
Obsessed. Emily showed it to me because we've had obviously so many conversations about how to balance, you know, our lives. That's the point of this entire podcast. But really a big part of it is how to balance social media with our real passions. And the social media side of it is so beneficial to our real passion that like we want to do both. But realizing when it's beneficial versus detrimental. And so this Opal app, it basically can block your social media for whatever time span you want. So I have it turn off at like 10 p.m. where I can't get in my Instagram or TikTok unless I specifically go into the Opal app and like wait 20 seconds to hit this button that allows me in, snooze button. And it's like the drama. So I have to really want to get into the app, and 99% of the time I'm like, thank you for blocking me. I didn't actually want to go on and check my, you know, views on the last, or how many views were on the reel. I just it's a habit. It's like a click habit when you pick your phone up.
Yeah.
So it's good training. And I found a lot of peace from, so I have it turn off whenever I know I should be getting sleep, because I would find myself losing 30 or 45 minutes at the end of the day, even if it was me doing things that I think are worth it, responding to comments, replying to DMs, searching for inspo on trends. Even if it's work, that isn't what I should have been doing after 10 p.m. Yeah. I was supposed to be sleeping then.
Yeah.
And so
I'm so proud of your growth with sleep. Gosh, it makes me feel like a proud mom.
You are.
I used to get so on you.
Like, she did. She would send me YouTube videos that were like, if you don't sleep more, you're literally going to die. Like, I'm sorry, but I really don't sleep a lot. Like, I have started to more.
You do now.
But I don't
it's hard. What you do is hard. Like, going on the road and everything too. Like, you also, when you have shows that are late, like, you're riding such a high, like, you have to get yourself in such a state to perform and like be the art for other people. And then you're like, oh, come home, like, oh, it's time to go to bed. Like, what?
I also have FOMO. Like, there's always more fun to have. There's always more people to see, more things to do, more information to consume, another book to read, another show to watch. And I'm like, if I'm sleeping, I'm not doing any of that.
Life.
I just want to do things. And sleeping is obviously so healthy. You've taught me so much about how your body needs sleep for recovery. And the biggest thing that changed for me when I started actually sleeping, I stopped losing my voice as much. And that was obviously a massive point of stress for a singer. I would lose my voice all the time, but I wasn't tired. That was why it was so hard for me to be like, sleep's important, because I could have a 4-hour night, go run in the morning, go do my day, be happy and be fine. I didn't realize that it was making my skin and face puffy and bags under my eyes, but I didn't really care about what I looked like. I just wanted to do stuff.
So you're allergic to like a million different things.
Everything.
Do you feel like your allergies have gotten better?
I think the losing my voice thing is bigger. Well, I think it's part of allergies.
Oh, okay.
I think they're all kind of one. Because I think my allergies would turn into sinus infections, and then I would just cough. And every time I would cough, it just tears your throat up.
Yeah.
So I do think it all went hand in hand. Your body, I mean, obviously allergies, it's your immune system overreacting to whatever the allergen is.
Yeah.
And I went and got tested. I'm allergic to everything but horses and feathers. Every mold, every pollen, every grass, every tree, cats. I mean, dogs even. So like, I will have a hypoallergenic dog one day. But it's like a lot of things. And I'm not going to go in an anaphylactic shock, but my nose will run, my eyes will itch. I have allergies.
Yeah.
But yes, it definitely helped to sleep more. Just the inflammation went down overall in my body, whether it was allergen inflammation or just alcohol inflammation, and just inherently by sleeping more, I'm going out less or just taking a little bit better care of my body by caring. And it was a big change for my voice.
I'm so proud.
I know. But I just love doing things. I just like want to be everywhere all the time at the same time.
But that's my whole like shtick about getting good sleep is like you can do more and be more productive and be happier and like live life more if you're able to like just give up those like few hours after 10 p.m., you know? Because like I just, whenever I wake up after having gone to bed, like in my actual, so I'm like a super nerd about sleep. I have the Aura ring.
She'll
and
sleep
you have
like 12 hours though.
No, I do not. I sleep like 8.5 hours every night.
No, she does
not. But I'm
not.
in bed for 10 hours.
In bed for 10. That's what I'm talking about. Like, that's crazy.
I like if I don't have 10 hours blocked off for sleep every night, like I will be like, as soon as I wake up the next day, I'm like, okay, like my priority today is like at least just making sure like I'm at home at a reasonable enough hour to like get to bed on time. It just helps me be able to do everything better and more efficiently.
You also have a very different need in your body. You're going to go run. You're going to go run 70 miles in a week, and I'm not. So our bodies don't need the same level of sleep or the same level of nutrition. Like there's just a lot of differences in what our fuel is going towards. But like neither one of us is in the middle of the sleep spectrum of like, this is the perfect balance. Like you sleep way more than the average person probably needs because you're putting your body through crazy stress. And I sleep probably way less than the average body because my shows sometimes don't end until midnight, or I have a radio thing that I have to be at 4 a.m. Or bus call sometimes is at 4 a.m.
Back to back.
Yeah, back to back happens all the time. Like we finish a show, it's 1 a.m, and then I have a flight at 6 a.m., but it was the only flight available that got us into the venue on time for sound check the next day. So we had to take it. Yeah. It's a crazy career and no one else cares about your sleep, you know? Yeah. Like everyone's like, get over it.
If you don't prioritize like getting to bed on time and like making slots to have lunch, like
yesterday you saw that we were in between shows and I literally had to ask my team.
You're like, when am I having lunch?
Yeah, like my first sound check was at 10 a.m.
I was so proud of you. I was like, yes, Julia.
Well, like because I was thinking about you. I was like, if Emily doesn't get food today, she's gonna be hungry and upset. So I need to think about food, which normally I probably wouldn't have even thought about it. And so at 10 a.m., they're like, okay, you're getting picked up for sound check. It's 10 a.m. You're not going to be out of your last interview until 4. And the art show you're going to doesn't end until 5. So I asked, okay, so between 10 a.m. and 5 p.m., when's my block to like eat?
Well, the green room had sandwiches and you like they didn't know that though. It was like no, I know. But what I'm saying is you like made time to eat the sandwiches, like actually ate lunch. And still when you finished at 4, you were like, I am so famished. Like I need food.
Because it wasn't like just a day of sitting around. It was like
you were working,
putting the miles in, performing. Like it was a work day. So I needed fuel. And I was like, this was a heavy day, but it was still a fun day. But having you there did remind me to even ask about it. Because there are a lot of days where I just forget to. Like I will just, but everyone else does too. Like there's 10 people around me who are like also not eating all day. You know what I mean? Isn't that crazy?
That's really crazy. Like I can't even like fathom that.
It like blows my mind. Skip. None of them also ran 10 miles like you did in the morning, you know? So it's
I've been not running for 2 weeks. So I feel
your
like
body's trained to need a lot of food though. So it's about the years of fueling it at a high level. Because I remember even when I first saw like a Michael Phelps post or something, how many calories did he eat a day? It was like 20,000 calories or something insane. Because he was burning so many in his workouts. I made that number up. I don't know what the number is. Like, I don't know. It's crazy. I wish I had my phone. I would look it up. I left my phone at home, which is a very freeing thing.
It's so funny.
Today. Yeah. But
can we switch seats?
Guys, Emily and I have the same good side, and she wants to switch seats.
We were supposed to switch it halfway, but we're at 50 minutes. Rip. Oh, I'm so much more comfortable now.
Welcome back. We are at part 2 of the Hustle and Harmony podcast, where now Emily gets to show her good side. Can y'all please just tell her how great her good side is?
Stop. I don't want to talk about this. This is not fair because I let you have the good side, so you're not allowed to roast me.
Ugh. We're sisters. We roast each other.
Anyways.
Oh, can we talk about the new vocabulary word that we learned? Guys, Guys, we're such nerds, and we had the best time of our life yesterday learning a new word called
I'm so gruntled right now.
I'm so gruntled. How gruntled are you to be here?
Extremely. Okay, so basically I saw this. My Instagram curated feed is the most eclectic group of random different things that it makes no sense. And a lot of them are just like squares with like words on them. And this one was just describing like, okay, why does no one talk about like the opposite of disgruntled is gruntled, which is like happy, satisfied, like pleased. And why don't people say gruntled? And so
because it sounds awful.
Yeah, then the like top word. Comment was like because it sounds like the opposite of pleased. Anyways, I showed it to Julia. I just actually died, and it wasn't that funny. And then
it's really not. But for some reason, we died all day yesterday saying the word gruntled. Yeah, and then
we sent it in our family group chat, and then everyone played along with the bit so well.
We have kind of it's like a soft book club where we just encourage each other to continue reading because we realize that that's one of the things that we want to incorporate into our lives more to create the balance. It's good for my mental health to get put into another world sometimes. And like, even if it's like some of the books or whatever, marketing books or self-improvement books, whatever, but I've been a lot more in the fiction world or the historical fiction world, putting myself in these other shoes. And right now I'm reading this book. It's called All the Light We Cannot See. And it is so beautifully written. It's the one I was reading you from a segment from at the pool today.
I've heard of it before. It's a famous book.
Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. And it's set in World War II. And the characters that it focuses on, it reminds me of like Anne Frank and her story where it's just if you focus on one person's experience, it humanizes the entire war so much more. And when you hear the details of all the small things that happened, you just get thrown into this story as if you were there. And the characters that they pick to focus on in this book are so different than any character I've ever been shown to focus on for a World War II book before. And I'm not going to like spoil any more of it, but reading it, I'm about probably 2/3 of the way through right now. It has just put so much perspective again into like how thankful I am for my life, where we are, just the somewhat of peacetime we're having in America, at least on our ground right now. And I am like shook that human nature and just real life sons and daughters of people can survive things like what are in this book. It's incredible.
I mean, yeah, just the fact that like we haven't had a world war, like during our upbringing, like we had COVID, but that was like a year or two. Like some people literally just like grew up during wartime, which is just, I can't even fathom it.
Yeah. Imagine being of the generation that you survived World War I and the Great Depression and World War II. I mean, it's like, it's like half of your life.
Yeah.
Just through the trauma. And so I don't know, it's given me so much. It's made it easy for me to step back from the things like stress of social media or stress of during our show, the click track didn't work and I couldn't hear the time of something, or the front of house engineer didn't unmute my guitar on time. So the first verse, you couldn't hear my acoustic. Like it just takes all those little things and makes me just have a higher perspective looking down on it and being like, this is small potatoes. Yeah. I'm okay.
And being able to like focus on gratitude and like how blessed we are.
Are you reading anything right now?
I am. I'm reading a book called The Well-Watered Woman. And
pretty title.
It's really cool. And it's actually about like growing in your faith as a woman and like diving more into like my faith, my relationship with God this year has been something that's been really important to me, especially just like kind of navigating how I do love running and want to continue to pursue running post-college, but finding your identity outside of your sport is so important to longevity and mental health. And my friend Allison is a big inspiration to me. She's an amazing runner and athlete. And she ran really well in high school and has run really well in college as well. But she had actually a couple-year break from collegiate running where she stepped away because of injury and really grew in her faith and came back and was just crushing it running for Florida this year. And it's been really inspirational to kind of see her go through that. And she actually posted that she was reading this book on her story. It's just like a page from the book. And so I saw that and it inspired me to buy it. And it's really beautifully written, and it kind of puts a lot of verses and scripture from the Bible in perspective and like applies them directly to being a woman and like finding who you are and like your identity from your roots.
I love that.
And like being based in Christ. It's really beautiful. And I feel like it was just a really great time for me to read it too, because I feel like I'm changing so much right now. And like this year was such a big year of transition too, because it was my last year. I had a lot of pressure on myself for running too. And like my outdoor season didn't go exactly how I wanted it to. And just like really being able to have faith that like this time of having a little bit of time away from running and like having this injury in my foot actually being God's plan and something that I really need to find myself outside of running and really make sure it's something that I love and like be grounded in my values as I move on in like this next phase. And I think that like going into college, I would have never imagined that I'd be in this position and like have these opportunities to run post-collegiately. So it's a very like beautiful place to be in. But I also like realize that this book is helping me realize like how important it is for like me to just remember like who I am at my roots in order to be able to like pursue running full time and not feel so tied to results and what happens.
It's so beautiful. And I know because obviously our first episode hasn't launched yet, we didn't get to have people send in their questions, but for all of our next episodes, like we definitely want y'all to send in whatever questions you have. And at the end of our episode, we'll pick a couple and answer them. But I think we can just do that ourselves, because I really do want to know from your perspective. We grew up with the same parents, went to the same church, had the same Sunday school classes, Wednesday night church classes. Like, how has your journey with faith changed? Like, did you ever lose it? Was it ever something that you just did because of family? When did it become a choice versus something that we were just brought up into and thought that everyone did this, like exactly how we did it? Because I know it's changed so much for me over the years. So I'm curious what it's done for you.
Yeah, I mean, so we were raised Catholic, so like we're both confirmed. And I think that was really beautiful because of the values that it instilled in us in such a young age and like kind of the structure that it provided to religion too. But it was never like, you know, our choice. Like, I'm choosing to go to church today, which is kind of like what we did.
Yeah.
And
but what 8-year-old picks what they're doing?
Right.
No.
Exactly.
Like
exactly. None. But I actually grew a lot in my faith in high school because I did Young Life, and a lot of my friends did Young Life. And so it definitely was like the cool thing to do with my friends.
Yeah.
And I went to Young Life camp in Colorado, and it was the most transformative week. We weren't allowed to have our phones, and we were just in the mountains in Colorado. It was like a 20-hour bus ride there, and we just spent time in nature, like worshiping and just, I mean, all of us just opening up about things that we had been through with each other that we would have never opened up about otherwise. And just getting to know my friends on such a deeper level and realize like how much more fulfilling a life with Christ is. And then, you know, you come back to the real world and you're so changed, but you have to incorporate back these things like having your phone and like going to school and not having so much time devoted to like being in tune with
it's a luxury to be able to just like put everything to the side and just, you know, bask in the glory for a little while. But when you step back into real life, that's when it's hard to find the balance and like remember what's important when everyone's telling you that something else is important.
And I think that's why it was so cool that I went with my friends too. Being able to come back and like get to have had that experience together. But then I went to college and I was because I didn't start running year round until my senior year. I was focused on volleyball and basketball, and I literally just wanted to break 5 minutes in the mile, which is why I started running year round my senior year. And so I went into college, and the whole time felt like I needed to prove myself. Like I needed to prove that like I deserve this spot on the team, which like, you know, is so typical with anyone in any industry, just having
imposter syndrome.
Yeah. But I feel like I did kind of like lose my faith and my connection to Christ because I was so focused on like everything I need to be doing to run faster. And then after like this past year having just been pretty hard for a multitude of different reasons, just needing to find my value and worth in something else. And honestly, it's really inspiring to see a lot of athletes coming out about how having faith and like having a relationship with Christ has helped them be able to not get so anxious and like wrapped up in their sport, and like obviously helping benefit them in like every other aspect of their life as well, because they just realize that like life is so much more meaningful whenever you're like living it for God. And anyways, I like a bunch of different athletes I think have used their platforms in a beautiful way. Like Sydney McLaughlin is an amazing example. She just wrote her book, and she is the world record holder in the 400-meter hurdles. She's an absolute queen. If y'all don't know who she is, definitely go look her up. You should know her name. That was obviously a big inspiration too, to get to see other athletes coming out about their struggles and realizing how God kind of pulled them out of that. And this year, I've also had a few teammates that were kind of going through the same things as me, and getting to go to athlete Bible study with them every Sunday with other athletes on other teams. It has been such a cool way to find community in religion too. And I think that's one of the most beautiful parts about it, is how it brings people together and allows people to open up more and share these experiences they've been through, when it's not always something that would come up in normal conversation. So I'm going to turn it back to you now. Okay. I would love to hear, it has been really cool to watch you over the past, I guess it's been a few years now, become like, you are just so fascinated with history and like the royal families.
I know where this is going.
And like your book is about World War II. And it's just so cool because like you also like have been getting really into like luxury brands too, like the stories behind the families.
Yeah.
And like teaching me. And it's so cool for me to get to learn this through you. But I mean, you're so passionate about it. It's like, where do you think that passion comes from? And like, how has it affected your music too?
I think I'm just fascinated by humanity in general.
Okay.
And I think the storylines of royal families, and or more recently, the new thing I'm reading a lot about or watching a lot of series about is, the family bloodline of these designers, because it's kind of a similar story. You're born into it. It has nothing to do with what you've done in your life past, the very first person who starts the brand. So with the royal families and these families, it's just unbelievable to me the way that some people can handle the same situation in such a different way.
Yeah.
Like some people handle it so gracefully and do things in the name of either their faith or God or their family, or to create art, or just they have a vision and they want to bring it to life, and it's a beautiful, artistic, poetic way of being either royalty or a very influential brand. And then you see the other side of the spectrum where people are just a huge mess. They have everything handed to them. Their life is literally on a silver platter, and they just cannot keep their head screwed on right, or they treat everyone terribly, or it's all done out of greed or lust or whatever. And it's just humanity. At its root, it's watching in some organized fashion all of the different ways a human can spiral, whether it's in a positive or a negative direction. I'm just so fascinated by it because I don't understand so much of it. We can only understand what is presented in our own life, and in my experiences, I have all of these things that make sense to me. And so when I read these books or hear these stories, I'm like, I cannot fathom making that decision.
Yeah.
I can't understand. When I think of like the olden days, like people would bring their kids and have a picnic to watch a beheading or someone get burned at the stake.
Yeah. It's like, how did society get to a point where this just made sense?
You know what I mean? So like people watch reality TV like it's dramatic. Go back to the medieval times if you want the tea. Like that, it was crazy what they would do. And it was everyone, and it was socially just acceptable. Yeah. I mean, I'm still not over it. Like, if you get me going, I can talk for hours on like Mary, Queen of Scots, or Queen Elizabeth.
I love hearing you go on about it. Okay, so what were all the different series that were about the different royal families that you like? Oh my God,
there's so many. So Mary, Queen of Scots, there are a few different movies that are much more adult and pretty.
Wasn't Crown like the first one we all watched as a family together in London when Kristen lived there? Like, how long ago was that?
The main inspiration for all of this did start when our older sister moved to London. So Kristen lived there for 5 years, and when we first visited for Christmas, we were exhausted after like sightseeing all day or something.
And she was like still working. And so we would we just had to waste time while she was at work.
6 p.m. The whole family sits on the couch, and this new series had just come out called Crown.
Yeah.
Or The Crown. So we start watching this series, and it was fun because it was like every single landmark in the show we could go out and see the next day. So it started just kind of like that. But I think I was the only one that got like hooked. There's a ton of shows that I can list off. You know, there's Reign, there's The Tudors, obviously The Crown. I watched another. I'm trying to remember what they all are off the top of my head, but it's really hard because I've watched like 20. And of the ones that I've recently dove into from fashion.
Yeah, I was going to say, tell us more about those.
Those
are fascinating. You were telling me about this history, and I was like, what?
Yeah, so I read House of Gucci, and I know there's the movie of it with Lady Gaga, which I also saw.
And she's now given me the book to read, and I'm loving it.
The book is about the actual history of the entire Gucci company, where it was founded, how it was founded, every single person and every company that's been an investor or been in charge.
It's kind of hard to get through.
For the entirety of its history.
It's really detailed, yeah.
It's very detailed. It's very business oriented, honestly. The majority of it is like business transactions, who took charge, who screwed over who.
And seeing how like mixing family with business can like go wrong.
And I told her, I was like, I'm probably not going to buy something Gucci again because the very first Gucci, who founded Gucci, had 3 sons and a daughter. They all work in Gucci their entire life. And when he dies, he leaves the company to his 3 sons. The daughter had worked for Gucci her entire life. And he says, no woman will ever be an owner in Gucci. And it's part of the bylaws of the company.
Yeah.
Like, that's insane.
And like in the book, it talks about how like she kind of like expected her brothers to kind of like advocate for her and like go over it. And they didn't. Yeah. They just like let it happen.
There's a million things that happen in this book, but we're like going on so long on this podcast now, so I'm gonna try to wrap up the last couple of them for people to go read. But A New Look is a wonderful short series on Christian Dior and Coco Chanel during World War II. It's unbelievable. Go digest that one. I watched Very Ralph, which is a documentary on Ralph Lauren. I love him. I love the brand. I love what he stands for. Like, obsessed. And I'm just like continuing. I'm going to keep finding all of the different. I just got back from Italy and went to Prada, and
she was living her best life. Yeah, she was thriving.
I was thriving. So I'm going to dive into the Prada story next probably, and just
can't wait to
learn
hear
it. Yeah. But it's probably time for us to wrap this episode up.
Yep. Sounds perfect. Thank y'all so much for listening.
We can't wait for next week.
See you then.
Thank y'all so much for listening to this episode of Hustle and Harmony.
Please leave us a 5-star review or comment, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and follow us on socials at Julia Cole Music and at Emily Cole.
We'll love you forever either way, and we can't wait to see y'all next week.
See y'all then.